Hi, welcome to JN Healing. I am JN and I'm very excited to be here with you. Today we are going to talk about karma, sins, and emotional pain and how they're all related to each other. So before we get started, I just want you to know all the things that I do and where you can find me, because then you can go ahead and look for other, because there's content everywhere, so go look for all of the information everywhere, so you can heal as soon as possible. And that's the point, is for you to feel loved and healed every day of your life and valuable. So I am on Instagram, I am also on Pinterest, and I have a blog. And the courses are the most important piece of this, which you can find at courses.jnhealing.com. And right there, it's just self-guided courses for self-healing. And I'm not doing it for you. I'm teaching you how to do it on your own and heal within yourself. So please check that out. So let's get into our topic for today. So sin, karma, and emotional pain. Sin is always like this huge like guilt and shame. Like we all have this in the theory of the Bible and all of that, we have this feeling that we are just completely worthless, that there's just something that we are never going to get rid of, and there's something wrong with us, and it's bad and evil, and it's inside of us. And I've seen parents even, because I grew up in a small Christian church. We were non-denominational. They called it Holy Rollers Church. Dancing in the Spirit, singing in the Spirit, speaking in tongues, and all of that stuff. And I've seen parents, even in that church and outside of that, say, "Oh, this kid is, screaming or whatever. See, we all have sin." And as an adult, I heard somebody say that, and I kind of remembered why, hearing that in other times. And it was just, no, kids are kids, and they're not aware of, they're very selfish because they're kids. That is just, you have to learn selflessness. It's not something that happens in a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old is learning how to be themselves. A 10-year-old is learning more about how they're affecting others with their actions, but a 2-year-old just doesn't care. They're just not even like, not even there. So sin is supposed to be this big turmoily, guilty thing that we're supposed to feel bad about. And as somebody who grew up in the church, I just really felt like that didn't resonate with me. And when it did, I just felt really bad about myself and like I was a terrible thing. And I just, when I released that concept of sin, it completely opened up my world to me being valuable and me being worthy of love, worthy of money, worthy of anything. So as we're going up this emotional ladder, karma often is like thrown in there with that, right? Karma and sin, I think, are commonly reflected as the same thing, but sin is always referred to as bad, and karma is neutral, right? It can be good or bad. And so when people talk about karma, it's like, oh, do good things and make sure that, and then it'll come back to you. Or that person's having a bad day because it's just their karma. Or that person's got a kid like X, Y, and Z because it's their karma for being a terrible kid. None of this is true. Kids are kids, and your destiny is not written by some ridiculous thing you did. It's written by the way that you perceive the world on a cellular level, not necessarily like, oh, I think the world is like this, but like if that doesn't resonate in here, it's not going to be true for reality. And when I graduated from the notion of karma to the notion of emotional pain and healing emotional pain, then things really moved fast for me. So um, when I changed it from sin to emotional pain, that just felt so much better for me. And for some people, they like the word sin. I do not like that word, because sin to me is like, oh, you did something bad. You're bad. You're bad. You're bad. You should repent. Repent to me, you mean like I should tell the world I'm bad. I don't agree with that. So when I switched it over and I had this aha moment, and I was reading the Bible when I had this aha moment, that sin is really emotional pain and we can heal it. We can heal the wound. Sin is just a wound. It's not really a sign that you're bad and that you need to repent. What you need to do is let go of whatever's blocking that wound from healing. And that's the hard part. But then that's your choice. It's not that you're a bad person. It's just that little bit of dirt that's stuck in there. It's just really hard to let go of because it means something to you. And that's okay. And it's okay to be unsure of why you don't want to let go of this thing. That doesn't make you a bad person. It just makes you human and attached to things. and then there's the whole attachment piece of things when it comes to the law of attraction, right? So let's dive into that. So you've got sin, which is like, oh, you're a bad person and you have bad things inside of you, and that's why you need to repent. Then you have karma. Oh, you did bad things, so that's why you have bad things happening to you. Emotional pain is like, okay, you have this ball of something, or you have this wound, and it's like the natural state of the body and the spirit is to fix itself, is to heal. It is when things don't heal right, then that is not the natural state of the body, spirit, soul, mind. So there's something stopping it, right? That's just plain and simple how that works. So emotional pain is often what's stopping it from healing because we're holding on to whatever that is. Now, attachment theory, and this is not attachment theory parenting. This is not at all related. But the attachment problem when it comes to the law of attraction is if you are too attached either to a specific outcome or to something you have to let go of in order to attract that thing, um, like the metaphor of like if you're holding a bunch of dirt and somebody tries to give you a cupcake, like if you really don't want to let go of that dirt, you're never going to get that cupcake, right? And so being attached to things will often prevent us from getting the things that we really want because we're afraid to let go of that stuff. So energy healing will help you let go of that stuff so you don't feel like you have to hold on to it because it's really stressing you out. And right now we're in this season of eclipse. We're like straight in the middle of it. I'm recording this on the 15th of May, 2022. We are in the height of eclipse season for this period of time. It is the full moon today. Today is the eclipse. And what that does for us is it brings up a lot of old energy. So this past week, I've had this like just relentless nostalgia. Like, I don't even know why I have this nostalgia. It's this like I walked into the grocery store and I just said, like it was like every single memory of every time I've ever been to a grocery store came up and was like, remember all of this? And it was like so heavy to remember every time you've ever been in a grocery store. Like we all go at least once a week for the most part, right? Sometimes we can skip a week or two here and there, but it was just like the grocery store like triggered up all of these memories of like going. And I just was like walking through the aisles, just like breathing deeply, going, what is this? First of all, what is this? And second of all, it was like this grief that every time that I have been to the grocery store was now gone. Well, it's always been gone, right? Like I'm not at the grocery store right now. I've been to the grocery store. I am like, it's gone. My trip to the grocery store is over. And it was like I had to grieve every single trip being over at one time. And that's what nostalgia really is this bringing up of old stuff, bringing it up and bringing it up and bringing it up so you can let go of it, so you can invite new things into your life. So I had to let go of, because I have I have a lot of love for going grocery shopping, mostly because, when I was a younger adult, I had like no money. And that was the only time where I was like, I can spend money, right? And so I would go in, I'm like, oh, I can buy things. And I have all of these different other triggers around the grocery store and not having money and worrying about buying food and all of these things. And it was like in that moment that I was having all that like systematic, like now nostalgia, it was all coming up so that I could let go of being poor and who I thought I was based on being poor, so I could heal the wound of that, right? And so that I can go deeper into whatever it is I need to do. Because if we're holding on to that wound of anything, and for me at that time it was being poor so tightly, then we can't let anything new in. And so that was a moment, because it's eclipse season, it was so powerful. It's like every time. That was a moment where I was able to clear en masse all at once, just clearing out every time I went to the grocery store. So let's do this. Let's have a moment of, we're going to remember every single time, and we'll just use the grocery store for an example. But if you have something else that's like, every time I go to the bathroom, or every time I eat, or every time I sit down in a chair, like some ridiculously mundane activity, we're just going to call up every instance of that has not healed. So for me, we're going to do the grocery store, but if you have a different one that's coming up for you, then do let it kind of happen. And so we're just going to take a moment to be present with that feeling, be present in that moment, and kind of walk yourself emotionally into that action. If you're in the grocery store, imagine yourself pushing a cart and you're going down the aisles and down the aisles, and you're just going to call up every unhealed grief of going to the grocery store. We're just going to allow all of that to come up. And we're just going to be very present with that feeling of the grocery store. And I feel like there's a sadness here, and it's coming off the left side. There's a warmth. So there's a warmth and a sadness of like, it's a feminine act, right? Gathering is a very feminine act. So I am feminine, and that's okay. I have this feminine, mundane work that I do, and it's good. And we're just going to let ourselves release all the times that we went to the grocery store, the idea of being poor and not being able to afford something at the grocery store, feeling like we spent too much money, like we bought the wrong things. We're going to let go of we bought the wrong things. And the biggest piece around here is weight loss. And I'm getting a big sense of somebody who's like, I went to the store and I bought like 100 cupcakes and I'm an idiot, right? And I hate myself. And that's what they call sin. It's not sin, it's emotional pain, it's emotional wounding. And the question is, why? Why did you feel like you had the need to buy 100 cupcakes? That's an example, right? It could be like, oh, I bought all the chips in the entire store, or it felt that way, or I bought a bunch of alcohol and getting a lot of that one too. Yeah, I'm just rubbing my hands together because this is getting the energy to move through. You can do the same thing. Some people like tapping, right? Some people like to, right, tap here, you can tap here. But I'm rubbing my hands together because that just feels like what we need to do here. What I need to do anyways. Interestingly enough, this is the sign in American Sign Language for motivation. And we're asking in this moment, what is the motivation for why you bought the wrong things? And so we're going to, yeah, I'm really focusing on the palms now. And yawning is a part of clearing. So we're in this moment and we are clearing out all those times that you went to the grocery store and you bought something you didn't need to, you felt bad about not having enough money, or you felt like you spent too much money. And just the guilt of spending money in general. Excess, oh God. Whew. I'm getting a big sense of this like guilt around just the ability to go to the grocery store. Like, have you ever walked into a grocery store and they have no produce or weird produce? And there's how many grocery stores in my town, and all of them have perfect looking produce, and I'm one tiny town in how many states and how many towns there are, right? And how that can cause waste, and that I did not choose that, but I am patronizing that. Like, there's a lot of food guilt and like abundance guilt going on right now at the grocery store. Oh, we're gonna just keep letting it through. Because at the end of the day, it's not that these aren't problems. What it is, it's not something that you have control over. So you feeling guilty isn't going to fix it. In fact, it's going to make it worse because you're resisting it. Sometimes resistance makes us do things that we're resisting anyways, right? That's why like willpower doesn't work, because we're resisting something and we're focusing on it so much that we end up doing it. And it's weird because I'm doing this, I'm not touching, but I can feel here as my fingers go past, I can feel like a tingling sensation through my hand. Whew, okay. So is that one fully cleared of the grocery store? No, there's more. How many images do we need? 1, 2, just one. Monkeys? No, I just made that up. Hmm. Starving children in Africa, yeah. Like, how many people were told that if you don't eat whatever food is in front of you, like there's starving children in Africa who would love to have this food, why don't you eat your food? Well, you eating your food isn't going to help the children in Africa, right? And so taking actions that do actually help others is good, but eating out of guilt, let's get rid of that. It's like up here, we're just gonna, whew. You are not required to consume because someone else is lacking in that item. Oh, and there's like sex coming up here. That's interesting. You are not required to consume because someone else has a desire that is unfulfilled. So we're clearing all of that out. That's just a twofer there. Okay. So is everything related to the grocery store cleared? Yay, it is. Okay. So all of that came up from, we were talking about sin and karma and emotional pain and attachment. And then we cleared the grocery store, and every time we've been to the grocery store out. And that was a fun journey. Goodness gracious. If you resonated with that journey, please let me know what you felt. I'd really like to know. I don't get a lot of, I don't get immediate feedback, right, on these types of things. What I get is people coming back later and saying, oh my gosh, I like really felt X, or I really felt Y. So if you could please just comment below on the video, so that way I know that something's resonating with you. And then if it was like something was, but there's more and you want to have more questions, also please feel free to comment or go to jnhealing.com and put in your email address, and then you can email me directly. So that way, you know, if it's something a little more private, that we can get the work you need done. And if you liked this video, I have created an entire course on healing all of those little pieces inside of us for those of us who did grow up in the church. And either, and we have some sort of inner issue with it, right? So some people may have decided to stay in the church, but there's this like inner turmoil that they're not quite putting the hand on that, being able to put their finger on it. And for other people, they've left, they said, screw the church. And either way is fine, but let's still just heal whatever is coming up. And where there were things that maybe happened that you're just like, I don't know about this. And so if you go to healedbelievers.com, you can grab my new course on that, and it's called Healed Believers. And I'll link that obviously, but I'd love to see you in there, and I'd love to get feedback on what's working for you and what's not working for you. So please let me know. And as always, I will see you next time. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for watching.